alleging conflict of interest when he appointed a local COMELEC official to oversee polls in two Lanao del Sur towns where his brother and nephew are running. In a statement, Pangarungan calls the accusations baseless, saying there's no need for him to inhibit from any discussion on the conduct of the polls in his home province. Melissa Lopez, CNN Philippines.
In the meantime, the COMELEC says it awaits full reports on poll-related violence, but notes the ballot tearing incident in Cotabato City was likely above board as spoiled ballots were being destroyed. The poll body adds those with doubts on the conduct of elections should file petitions for appropriate action. Winning senatorial candidates could be proclaimed early next week. COMELEC had initially scheduled a proclamation for the top 12 senatorial bets, as well as party list groups this Sunday. Paolo Barcelon joins us live from the National Board of Canvassers site in Pasay. Paolo, why would there be a delay?
Pia, that's because the COMELEC is still unsure if the pace of canvassing will allow them to meet their proclamation target this Sunday. Acting COMELEC spokesperson Rex Laudianco says they also still have to check if the results from overseas as well as votes from the special elections in Lanao del Sur will have an impact on the overall results.
Look at our bar na po ngayon. It's 82 out of 173. We would be canvassing the remaining COCs. Meron lang po tayong konting hihintayin.
Laudianco adds there is a possibility that the 12 winning senators will be proclaimed first, pending the final computation of party list results. The poll body says it will first gather all votes cast for the party list elections and check which among them have made the 2% threshold for a guaranteed House seat. Laudianco assured the public that all 63 party list seats will be filled up. In the meantime, the poll body says it will follow COVID health protocols in the proclamation ceremonies. Winning candidates will only be allowed a handful of people to accompany them on Proclamation Day. Pia.
Paolo, do we have an update on the second partial and official tally of votes for the Senate and party list?
Yes, Pia, these numbers just coming into us a little over half an hour ago. According to the latest partial and official tally from the Commission on Elections, actor Robin Padilla leads the senatorial race with over 13.2 million votes. Next is Loren Legarda with 12,290,805 votes. And third place is Rafi Tulfo with 12,223,867 votes. They are followed by Win Gatchalian at the fourth spot, Cheese Escudero at number 5, sixth spot is Alan Peter Cayetano, 7 is Mark Villar, 8th spot is Mig Zubiri, 9 is for Joel Villanueva, the 10th spot is for JV Ejercito, 11th spot is Risa Ontiveros, and the number 12 spot is for Jinggoy Estrada. Now, far behind are Jojo Binay at number 13, Gibo Chodoro at number 14, and Herbert Bautista at number 15. As for the party list results, Pia, we also have them by rank now. ACT-CIS party list leads the pack at over 1.1 million votes, followed by Ako Bicol political party with 513,000 plus votes. They are followed by One Rider party list, the 4-piece party list, ang Probinsyano, Sagip, Sibak, Ako Bisaya, Probinsyano Ako, and Tingog Sinirangan at the number 10th spot. Pia.
Paolo Barcelon there reporting from Pasay. Now, while the official canvassing of votes has yet to finish, pending his imminent proclamation as president, Bongbong Marcos has already appointed his running mate, Sara Duterte, to a cabinet position. Our correspondent Rex Remigio tells us more.
Bongbong Marcos and Sara Duterte were still campaigning for Monday's elections last Saturday. But on Wednesday evening, Bongbong declares Sara has already accepted his offer to be Education Secretary in his cabinet. Marcos earlier said the outgoing Davao City Mayor wanted to be Defense Secretary. He did not explain the change of plans for the presidential daughter, saying that he still had little to share. He also did not entertain further questions after his brief address. Bongbong did explain why Sara got the DepEd post.
Tinanong ko sa kanya kung kaya niya yung trabaho dahil mahirap ang trabaho ng Secretary of Education. Pero nag-agree naman siya at palagay ko kasama na dyan dahil she is a mother and she wants to make sure that her children are well trained and well educated, and that's the best motivation that we can hope for.
The Alliance of Concerned Teachers criticized Sara's designation to be the next education chief. The group showed photos when she punched a sheriff a decade ago. They also shared a meme of Duterte saying that all candidates lie and that honesty is not an issue. Political analyst Cleve Arguelles, meanwhile, feels like Sara blinked to Marcos since she wanted to be defense chief in the first place. That's why this will serve as the first test for the Marcos Arroyo Duterte alliance. Education Secretary Liling Briones, meanwhile, welcomes Sara's appointment, saying they will work for the transition of the Basic Education Plan 2030, which is a medium-term plan for the sector. Bongbong says he will announce more appointments in the coming days. What's important, he explains, is that they've already hit the ground running. Rex Remitio, CNN Philippines.
Sara Duterte thanks Marcos for her soon-to-be stint as Education Secretary. In a statement, the apparent Vice President-elect slams critics whom she believes are fabricating intrigues to break the unit team. While she admits that she earlier spoke about the defense portfolio with Marcos, she says they decided on the Education Secretary post so she could work on, quote, producing skilled learners with a mindset to realize their full potential as individuals, unquote. The Davao City Mayor adds, quote, the country needs a future generation of patriotic Filipinos that advocate peace and discipline in their respective communities. So what do teachers think about Sara Duterte possibly taking the helm of the Education Department under the next administration? Find out in this report from Stanley Gahete.
Teachers have mixed reactions to the possible appointment of leading Vice Presidential bet Sara Duterte as Education Secretary. While others believe in her capability to lead the agency, some say a qualified educator with lots of experience is better for the job.
Meron po tayong leadership skill na tinatawag na kung saan kaya nating i-manage ang isang organization sa abot ng ating makakaya at sa pamamaraan alam natin kung paano mag-govern.
Sana po we request bilang guro na may alam or may experience sa paghawak lalo na po dito sa Departamento ng Edukasyon.
The Alliance of Concerned Teachers is not optimistic.
Well, nung siya ay mayor ng Davao, yung aming pong local chapter ng Union doon ay nakipag-usap sa kanya. Humingi ng provision ng local allowance, no? Alam mo, nagalit si Mayora, pinagalitan yung ating mga teachers, na-red tag yung ating mga teachers dahil lang hingi ng benepisyo. Ito yung amin nakikitang maaring gawin niya sa mga darating na araw sa amin.
ACT adds, reviving the ROTC or military science in the curriculum is not a popular idea and will not be a major factor in strengthening the education sector.
Laging problema na namin yung nagkakaroon kami ng secretary na hindi galing sa hanay ng mga teachers natin sa public schools. Hindi nila intindihan yung struggles ng ating mga teachers.
ACT also fears the possible revision of Philippine history where character assassinations and disinformation get to prevail under Duterte's watch.
Kabahagi na ng kasaysayan yung pagkapanalo ngayon ni Bongbong. Ngunit huwag niyang baguhin ang kasaysayan, no? Wala siyang karapatan para baguhin ito, no?
Basilio says Sara Duterte could adopt Vice President Leni Robredo's plan to create a commission to assess the problems and state of education in the country. Meanwhile, the Teachers Dignity Coalition says they would negotiate with Duterte to clearly define the most significant issues of the sector.
We would be willing to sit down with her, to talk to her, and to present our programs then para sa education sector.
Stanley Gaete, CNN Philippines.
Coming up, the country's economy grew faster than analysts expected in January to March, and a martial law survived Kelsey's story amid protests against an apparent Bongbong Marcos presidency. Stay tuned to CNN Philippines.
RPN Regional AM radio stations nationwide welcomes CNN Philippines, a first on radio. to bring you the latest news you can use, news you can trust. Listen to Newsnight, weekdays, 6 p.m.
And I'll go above and beyond the headlines.
Followed by Med Talk, Health Talk,
We'll talk about how to keep ourselves healthy during the pandemic.
politics as usual,
Our guests for tonight, two political science professors.
up close, and more. Catch CNN Philippines in all RPN AM radio stations. Weekdays, 6 to 7 p.m. CNN Philippines Hour.
DYKB Radio!
Istorya may K, may kapuslanan, may kamatuoran, kag may jutay nga kalingawan. Istorya may K.
Esturyang may K!
Bantayan ang Rondahanay Saga. Las 4, tunog na 5 sa kagahon.
Welcome back to CNN Philippines. The Philippine economy has expanded by 8.3% in the first 3 months of 2022. Now, this beats the forecast of economists surveyed by CNN Philippines of about 6.58%. The growth outpaces the 3.8% contraction in the same quarter last year and the 7.8% in the last 3 months of 2021. Analysts attribute the expansion to the reopening of the economy and election spending. Most parts of the country were under alert level 1 since late March. The COMELEC-accredited citizens arm PPCRV releases the match rate between physical and electronic election returns to check poll integrity. But even before that, the watchdog has maintained that it did not find any irregularity or discrepancy in the partial and unofficial count. Tristan Odalo joins us live from the PPCRV Command Center at the University of Santo Tomas in Manila. Tristan?
The PPCRV maintains that they don't see any irregularities or discrepancies in the results of the May 9 polls. That's according to the ongoing validation and matching of physical election returns comparing to the electronic ones. So far, the PPCRV has received 24,620 election returns. That's those returns came from NCR, Luzon, and the Visayas. So far, at least 16,000 have been validated and matched. The matching rate of the 16,820 election returns is at 100%. Take note that this is just the first round of matching rate between physical and electronic election returns, 16,000 out of the expected 107,785. It also invited experts from universities including Ateneo de Manila University and the University of Santo Tomas, which also found no anomalies in the pattern of poll results. Transmission arrival analysis done by Ateneo de Manila University's Math Department says the computed ratio being similar to each other is not unexpected. The University of the Philippines School of Statistics also says that the 68-32 ratio of votes in the presidential race is not tantamount to irregularity and could not be used as evidence of poll cheating. A team of experts from De La Salle University is also conducting their analysis today, according to PPCRV.
So much fake news happening. We're very peaceful, organized. People are generally happy. Young volunteers are happy to give their time. Nothing unusual. We would flag it, of course. So let's please ask our public to stop spreading fake news. As you can see, and in fact, we're going to open more seats for observation so that people can see that the work is ongoing.
This 68-32 pattern, consistently 47%, is something that may be regarded as irregular. And I will say factually that it is not necessarily something that can be considered irregular. In fact, it can be considered normal. It depends on how the votes are transmitted.
Given that they're operating 24/7, PPCRV is hopeful that they will finish validating the physical election returns, hopefully by this weekend. Back to you, Pia.
Tristan, what about volunteers? Does PPCRV still need more, and what do volunteers there need?
Well, according to PPCRV Chairman Myla Villanueva, they're still in need of at least 300 volunteers to participate in the command center, especially during 12 midnight to 6 a.m. or the so-called graveyard shift. And let me just share to you that earlier, Archbishop Socrates Villegas also went here and visited the command center, and he was overwhelmed by the volunteerism, especially from the young people. Let's listen in.
Di namin Hindi, okay lang. PPCRV volunteers, hindi namin kayo pwedeng bayaran. Hindi namin kayo kayang bayaran. Because only God can pay you. And God knows your sacrifices. And the Lord knows everything. Pagsilbihan ninyo ang Diyos sa pamamagitan ng pagmamahal sa bayan. Mahalin po ninyo ang bayan sa pamamagitan ng pagyakap sa lahat ng mahirap at pagyakap sa lahat ng bata at kabataan.
Earlier, we've seen volunteers still coming in here at UST, and then those who want to volunteer can register online and do walk-in. All they have to do is to bring their vaccination cards. Back to you, Tia.
Tristan Adalo there, reporting live from PPCRV's command center at UST in Manila. Malacanang forms a transition team less than 2 months before President Rodrigo Duterte steps down from office. Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea will head the transition committee. Members include Foreign Affairs Secretary Teddy Boy Locsin, Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez, Budget Undersecretary Tina Rose Marie Canda, and Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Carl Chua.
We will work closely with the representatives of the incoming administration to ensure a peaceful and orderly transfer of power. Since we still have no proclaimed winner, official talks need to be put on hold for the moment. But preparation on our end need to begin. We, after all, have more work to do.
Mr. Duterte is thanking the Commission on Elections, poll workers, and volunteers for the clean and orderly conduct of elections. The president says he will congratulate the winners once they have been formally proclaimed. Mr. Duterte's successor will only be proclaimed after Congress finishes its official canvassing for the presidential and vice presidential race. The next president will begin his 6-year term at noon of June 30th. The youth have begun taking to the streets to protest the apparent presidency of Bongbong Marcos. What does the return of the Marcoses to Malacanang mean for the Filipino people? George Quila spoke to a martial law survivor and youth activist under the dictatorship of Ferdinand Marcos.
Bongbong Marcos has yet to be proclaimed as president. But left and right protests, both physical and online, are already happening. Even student councils of different universities are calling on for academic walkout to oppose Marcos' leadership. 71-year-old Totoy Carlos says the active participation of the youths in social movements reminds him of his days as a young activist during the dictatorship of former President Ferdinand Marcos Sr. Carlos was detained and tortured during martial law.
Si Colonel, binigyan kayo ng libreng pagkain. Tinapay, kape. Yan pa dyan. Pasalamat naman kayo. Sir, salamat po. Taka iniisip ko. Kinulong ka, sinuntok-suntok ka, ngayon magpapasalamat ka, walang yung buhay ito.
After the successful People Power Revolution in 1986, the martial law survivor says the government has failed to make the Marcos family accountable for the corruption and human rights violations that they committed. The reason why another Marcos is now set to lead the country after 36 years.
Hindi sila hinuli. Kung nahuli dapat yon, nilitis dapat. Hindi sila mag-a-apology. Hindi nila amin yung kasalanan nila. Bakit? Makukulong sila eh.
while he continues to support pro-democracy and anti-dictatorship causes. Carlos says, with his aging body, it is already hard to participate in protests. But like what is written on his shirt, Makibaka, he says the struggle for change will continue for as long as the youths will be involved. George Cahiles, CNN Philippines.
A political scientist believes Marcos's arch-rival Leni Robredo will continue to be a figure of the opposition in the coming years. But with only one winning candidate in the senatorial race, how will the opposition fare in the next Congress? Amor Santos reports.
The last woman standing among the opposition senatorial candidates. Senator Risa Ontiveros is poised to be re-elected under the 19th Congress, but with no clear allies in the minority. Senate Minority Leader Franklin Drilon is retiring. Senator Laila de Lima lost her re-election bid.
Esturiang may K!
Bantayan ang Rondahanay Saga. Las 4 tunog na 5 sa kagahon. Rondahanay Saga. Upod kay Ronda Butch Gaspar Jr. diri sa RPN DYKB Radio Ronda Bacolod. Serbisyo garantisado.
Welcome back. Spotted again in former First Lady Imelda Marcos's living room is what people say is the missing Pablo Picasso painting. Picasso's Femme Couche 6 was cited in photographs from Bongbong Marcos's media staff. Andy Bautista, former chairman of the Presidential Commission on Good Government, which was tasked to go after the Marcos's ill-gotten wealth, commented on the sighting. He said, quote, "Please seize it for the Filipino people while you still can," unquote. The director of the documentary, The Kingmaker, where the painting also surfaced, tweeted, quote, "Picasso is back. It is unclear if the piece is an original or a replica." Marcos' spokesperson has not responded to our request for comment. In sports, the Southeast Asian Games in Vietnam formally opens tonight. Pole vault sensation EJ Obiena will bear the Philippine flag at the opening ceremony at Median National Stadium. But even before this, Team Philippines has already bagged multiple medals. Kickboxers Honorio Banario and Emmanuel Cantores earned bronzes, but after winning semifinal matches, at least 6 kickboxing athletes are assured of at least silver medals. On the SEA Games official opening, the Philippines already has 13 medals under its belt, 1 gold, 5 silver, and 7 bronzes. And that is it for now. Join me again on News.ph at 7 p.m. I'm Pia Ontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. Three presidential candidates came together on Easter Sunday to announce in a news conference that no way were they going to withdraw from the race. During the Q&A, Isko Moreno said he wanted Leni Robredo to drop her presidential bid. He even used a basketball analogy, saying any one of them could sub for her and perhaps make a three-point shot. Both Ping Lacson and Bert Gonzalez disowned that statement. Manny Pacquiao nowhere to be found. His plane hovering above Manila waiting for the go signal to land. Manny's campaign manager said it was a blessing in disguise that he missed out on that press con. The aftermath spawned jokes and memes, references to Easter egg hunts at a luxury hotel, stealing the spotlight from a risen Christ, and many, many more. But there's only 3 weeks to go before D-Day. So what now and what next? What unity versus the uni team? Has everything gone? Are we looking at a President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.? Because if we are, then maybe we should get with the program. Good evening. I'm Pia Ontiveros. Welcome to your weekly political appointment fix, politics as usual.
The press con indirectly endorsed Mayor Isko Moreno, but unwittingly reinforced a potential Marcos victory. No? But at this stage, their combined survey average is between 5 to 6%. No? What transpired yesterday was apparently a unity among non-players who have become potential spoilers in the final leg of the campaign.
Our guests tonight, political analyst Richard Hedarian, joining us here in the studio, and the head of Manila Mayor Isko Moreno's volunteers group, Gilbert Lawenco, and joining us via Zoom, the campaign manager of Senator Manny Pacquiao, Mr. Buddy Zamora, and Vice President Leni Robredo spokesperson Barry Gutierrez. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you very much for being with us. But before we begin this discussion, let me first bring in our correspondent, Cian Arcangel. She is on the campaign trail with Senator Manny Pacquiao in Ilocos Norte. Cian, the campaign sending mixed messages on the senator's behalf 2 days after that press con. Cian?
Pia, Senator Manny Pacquiao's campaign manager, Buddy Zamora, said in a television interview that Pacquiao was really on his way to the press conference at the Manila Peninsula Hotel, but his plane was unable to land in Manila until after it ended. Reporters covering Pacquiao were told that he would go straight to Manila Pen from General Santos City. It was announced during the press conference that Pacquiao would instead come out with a recorded message, but no video has been released. Given the criticism that the presser has received, Zamora said it was divine intervention that Pacquiao did not show up. But Pacquiao's running mate, Buhay Party List Congressman Lito Atienza, insists that the senator actually never planned on going to the Manila Pen. Pacquiao has yet to speak about his absence at the press conference. Yesterday, he attended a prayer meeting in Marikina, but this was closed to the media. We managed to record Pacquiao coming in and out of the church, but we were not allowed inside and there were no opportunities for an interview. Pacquiao did not have any public engagements today, and his team said that he was busy having meetings at his home at Forbes Park. Pia?
So, Cian, tell us more about the take of Senator Pacquiao's campaign manager.
Pia, Buddy Zamora said in the television interview that he was relieved about Pacquiao's absence, given that the presidential candidates who attended the press conference were heavily criticized. Some have questioned why the male candidates were seemingly ganging up on Vice President Leni Robredo, who was not at the Manila Pen and is the only female presidential bet. Zamora said Pacquiao simply wanted to reiterate that he was not backing out of the presidential race had he been at the press conference. Pia?
Cian, what does Zamora, Mr. Zamora, who by the way is our guest tonight, say about Isko Moreno's call for VP Robredo to withdraw?
Pia, Zamora says that Pacquiao is not in favor of anyone backing out of the presidential race. Tomorrow, we expect Pacquiao to finally break his silence about his absence at the Manila Peninsula press conference when he campaigns here in Ilocos Norte. Pacquiao is expected to have a full day ahead with motorcades scheduled across 8 towns and a grand rally that will be held here at San Nicolas Plaza. Pia?
Cian Arcangel, they're reporting live from Ilocos Norte. Well, let's now go to our guests. All right, where do we begin? We have a lot to talk about tonight. Let's start with this. No? Did you all have a restful Holy Week? Barry, you first, very quickly.
Well, I was having a restful Holy Week until Sunday.
Until Sunday morning.
All of a sudden, I had to watch a press conference. But yeah,
okay.
Generally, it was more restful than it has been at any other time in the last 6 months. So, we should be grateful for, small blessings.
Oh, interesting yung sagot mo. Babalikan natin yun kasi it shows when you knew what was going on. But anyway, Sir Buddy, how was your Holy Week?
I had a fine Holy Week. Spent my time playing golf, my golf course at Puerto Azul. So that was, I played Thursday and Friday.
Okay. Gilbert Lawenco?
Well, obviously, I did not have a restful Holy Week.
Because even during the Holy Week, we normally have meetings with other people. And on that Sunday, of course, definitely, it was not a restful day for me.
Yeah, and I guess hindi din restful yung Thursday, Friday, Saturday mo dahil
Yes.
pinaghandaan nyo yun, ano? Okay. And Richard?
Well, I mean, I'm quite workaholic, so I observe my Sabbath very strictly, right? So kaya hindi ako pumatol sa Twitter or anything like that. Sabi ko, patulan ko yan sa Monday. And since then, hindi pa tapos the fallout. Yeah.
Okay, ade patulan na rin natin ngayong gabi. So, you didn't think I'd start with that question because, you know, the usual peace and quiet of an Easter Sunday, when I say usual, no, we're used to that kasi, no, shattered by this, pasensya na, shattered talaga, no, by this Easter egg hunt. Sorry, Easter Sunday press conference that never was. So let's have Gilbert first, no, explain this to us on behalf of his principal. And by the way, disclosure, Gilbert and I are college batchmates at the Ateneo. So Gilbert, kaya mo yan ipaliwanag sa amin? And like we Ateneans say, one big fight. Go ahead.
Well, yes, actually, the primary purpose of that press conference very simple and straightforward. It was a response to repeated and increasing calls for all the candidates there to withdraw in favor
Lenny
of
Robredo's favor.
Yes, in favor of
Yeah.
one candidate. So this discussion started way back, but then there was an agreement between all the candidates in question to issue a press statement stating, number one, they will not be withdrawing, that they will continue to fight till the end, and number two, they are uniting for a clean and honest election with specific statement na there should be no irregularities and that they will respect the sanctity of the election. And that was the primary goal of that particular press conference, that particular time.
But two things, no. In the last few weeks, that was what your principal, what Senator Ping, what everybody else, no, was saying.
Yes.
Di ba?
Yes.
In press conferences, in ambush interviews, even on Twitter, yan din naman ang sinasabi. Why the need to call a press conference like that?
Because although they
I mean,
already...
even if you have to emphasize something, and
Yeah,
why
yeah.
you know, and like people say, why don't you just tweet, send out an email, post on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, even.
The rationale was there was already statements to that effect that we will not be withdrawing, but the statements or the call for withdrawal still came on repeatedly, and it was an increase in nature. So they decided perhaps a press conference would say, sorry, don't factor in us withdrawing in your campaign strategy was in order. That was the rationale behind it. So they wanted to make it as official and as in a united front to once and for all stop all the speculations. Well, that was the rationale for that press conference.
Yeah, you wanted to stop the speculation,
Yes.
but it didn't stop. And now,
Well-
para bang nangitlog tuloy, hindi ba? But anyway, babalikan natin yan. Let's go to Sir Buddy Zamora, who is campaign manager for Senator Manny Pacquiao. Joining us again, like I said earlier, via Zoom. So, Sir Buddy, you're, nakahinga pala kayo ng maluwag, no? Because as you've been widely quoted, you're very relieved that Senator Manny did not join that press conference. Can you explain to us more why?
Well, we were surprised that there was going to be a press con that Sunday noon, because this was arranged between Senators Lacson and Senator Pacquiao. We were quite surprised that to find out that there was going to be a press con to be held in in Manila Pen. But we were aware that Senator Pacquiao had said yes to attending the press con. So he was really on his way from Jensen to Manila to attend the affair. Unfortunately, they're forced to go around for almost an hour in the air. And upon landing, they were even forced also to delay their taxi due to the air traffic. So that led to the non-appearance of Manny Pacquiao in the the presser.
Unfortunately or fortunately?
Well, on hindsight, no, fortunately, but we didn't know what was to happen, because everything transpired between two senators while Senator Pacquiao was in Jensen, while the rest of us were all enjoying our Easter vacation.
Well, when did you and the rest of the team find out about this press conference? Saturday night or early Sunday morning?
I found out about it Saturday night.
Okay. But they were planning it since when? Kailan pa pinag-uusapan ni Manny at ni Ping?
That I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So hindi oo. Because yeah, ang sinasabi ng iba is that sadya na hindi nakarating si Manny Pacquiao. So sadya or nagkataon lang na hindi lang makaland ang eroplano?
That's not true. I think you can check from the records that the plane was overhead for so long. For almost an hour.
Yeah. So Manny was good with the statement that no, we're not withdrawing, but he did not agree with that statement that Isko Moreno came out with during the Q&A na pinapag-withdraw niya si Lenny.
Yes, definitely. We do not agree on calling on anybody to withdraw. As I said, it's illogical for anybody to go this far and then withdraw at the very last minute.
Yeah. Well, let's bring in Barry Gutierrez, spokesperson for the Leni Robredo campaign. Exactly when did you find out about this, Barry? You and the rest of the campaign team, that this press conference was happening, like at 11 o'clock that same morning? Or, you know, were you forewarned a few hours before that, a few minutes before that?
Same as Sir Buddy. We got an advisory. I think they sent out the advisory to media the evening before. So Saturday evening, we already knew there was going to be a press conference. But at that point, it was not yet clear what the press conference was going to be about. And it wasn't even clear who would be there present at the press conference.
Yeah. At hindi naman kayo napraning nun.
No, our position has always been that our focus is on our own campaign. On what we need to do in the remaining 3 weeks until election day. So, you know, if these other candidates wanted to hold the press conference, and from the initial indications at least, they were going to simply say, we're going to push through with our campaigns, then, you know, that was certainly their privilege. And if they felt that they really needed to throw an Easter Sunday morning press conference to say that, then, you know, that was their call.
Richard Heydarian here in the studio with us, joining us live. Richard, did they unwittingly secure a BBM victory, or you know, did somebody gain from this? And when we say gain, we're talking victory already, because we only have 3 weeks to go. And I use the word unwittingly because we are allergic to that word. When used in the political context, it brought a president to his knees.
Yeah, I think the happiest man in the Philippines, at least over the past few days, was the supposed front runner. No question about it. To be honest, the first time I heard about it, hindi ko pinatulan, but I kind of saw it in my feeds and all. I said, okay, maybe what's happening here is that Isko Moreno is creating a new front by asking some of the other candidates who are not very competitive to actually rally behind him. And I thought that would make it interesting, because I think I've been one of the folks saying that this could be a three-way race, not a two-way race or 2.5-way race. But apparently something else has happened. I know we're going to take a break, so I'm not going to go too much into what I'm going to say. We're going to continue this later on.
Sure. Thank you, co-anchor Richard. Yeah, that's right. As Richard said, we have to be back. After this quick break, stay tuned.
Given the nature of our presidential elections, it's a winner-take-all contest. And obviously, the finals will be between the first and second placer. At this stage in the game, there's no room for third, fourth, or even fifth placer.
Welcome back. This is Politics as Usual, your weekly political appointment fix. I'm Pia Ontiveros, and join us tonight, my guest co-anchor, political analyst Richard Iderian, the head of Manila Mayor Isko Moreno's Volunteers Group, Gilbert Lawenco, like I said, my college batchmate, and via Zoom, Senator Manny Pacquiao's campaign manager, Buddy Zamora, and VP Lenny Robredo spokesperson, Barry Gutierrez, talking to us, like I said, via Zoom. Earlier, we had Cian Arcangel from the Isko Moreno, from the Manny Pacquiao I'm talking, Manny Pacquiao campaign. Okay. Confusing, ang dami kasing kandidato. Dapat kasi dalawa na lang eh. But anyway, okay. Ibang issue yan. Ibang episode yan. Balikan natin si Richard. Richard, continue what you were saying.
That's good.
Yeah.
No problem. You can pass over me if you need that.
No.
I don't want to get into the quagmire. No, I mean, going back to that, akala ko actually what could happen, I thought that would be a good strategic move by the Isko campaign is to ask let's be honest, Isko is administration friendly, but obviously a rival of Bongbong Marcos.
Right.
Bongbong Marcos got Sara Duterte on his side, but not President Duterte on his side. So I was thinking what's going to happen here is that Isko is going to get some of the other candidates who work in this administration, who are close to this administration, and who statistically do not have any chance to make it forward to rally behind him. It may be 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, but the multiplier effect, the prestige effect could be strong. I think that's what's going to happen.
He could have gotten them to rally behind him if he had stuck to the script, diba?
Right.
No, just saying, we're not withdrawing, and then, we're for honest.
And my point is that
and then period.
I thought
diba?
it's going to be a unity kind of conversation. Paano
Hindi
naman
na unity ngayon. Paano yun?
I thought it was a unity, but paano ka naman mag-unity kung walang mag-withdraw? So I don't see it's like unity in not withdrawing. I just don't see what's going on. And it was just layers and layers of
different messages.
It was unfathomable, let's just say. And then the other thing was our number 3, 5, and number 12 asking number 2 to drop out and sub for number 2 versus number 1. I don't get the math. Right? I just don't see the math. So there's so many layers to this that went completely against what I was expecting, because I really thought this is going to be an important strategic move. Isko has a lot of overlap with BBM, not as much perhaps with Lenny. Yeah. So any surge in Isko's numbers would make this race much more competitive, even to the benefit of the Lenny side. I was thinking that was going to be the direction. Now we're in a completely different picture. That's what I'm saying. If you're Bongbong now, popcorn's out.
Yeah. Gilbert, sagutin mo yan.
Well, in one instance, I would agree with Mr. Hadrian, no? But at the beginning, it was really just simply we were not going to withdraw.
Yeah.
But then during the Q&A, things popped out.
Yeah.
But we will not back down from the call, because although that was spontaneous at that particular point.
Spontaneous meaning off script.
Yes, it was spontaneous. But this feeling has always been there with our candidate, because it started in October 2020 when Madam Vice President filed her candidacy. This hashtag withdraw Isko started, and so on and so forth, and it got into a level that it was very much increasing for the past few days. So he kind of felt, coming from where where he's been, sabi, bakit ako ang pinapa-withdraw nyo? Ikaw ang mag-withdraw. It's always been there at the back of his mind.
Yeah.
So it came out during the Q&A.
Then why doesn't he just ignore it?
Which one? The question?
Yeah,
he's very transparent. He, as you say, you see, he will tell you what he feels at that particular point. He's not going to cover it. So in that sense,
but the problem was that he went off script, and therefore you lost control, right?
No, because we always we always anticipate that our candidate will sometimes go off script, because he's very transparent. He will tell you what he feels at that particular moment. He will not filter it for the sake of politics or campaign, because that's who he is. Kung ano yung nararamdaman niya, he will tell you at that particular point. And he's not going to change for whatever
Kanina you
reason.
said because it came up, no? And for a while, from different sides, no?
Yes.
Saying na, kasi kasalanan ng media yan eh. Bakit kasalanan ng media yan? Kayo naman yung sumasagot.
Well,
no matter what the media asks, I mean, it's up to the candidate to answer or parry the question, right? So why?
Well, I was not there when he answered kasalanan ng media, but knowing from his past responses, he normally says, well, it came out because there was a question, so I answered. So I think in that sense, that's what he wanted to say. It might not have come out exactly that way, but knowing him, he would say, well, the question came up, I answered the way I felt. That's how we would explain it.
Okay. Let's go back to Buddy Zamora, campaign manager for Senator Manny Pacquiao. Sir Buddy, like earlier, no, we already said that hindi ito No, we're going to Buddy, not Barry. Buddy Zamora. Yeah. Thank you, Direk. Let's go to Buddy Zamora. He's still there, right?
I'm here.
Yeah, okay. Well, sir, okay. Kanina, nabanggit na, no, na this is not something that Senator Manny Pacquiao agrees with, no? Ayaw naman niya na sabihin na mag-withdraw si Lenny. Can you explain to us more why that sentiment? And then we're going to ask other questions. Go ahead.
What's the question again?
This is not the call for Lenny Robredo to withdraw, which Isko Moreno made. Manny Pacquiao does not agree with that, right? Can you explain to us more why?
Well, in the first place, I don't think she will withdraw. So what's the use of asking her to withdraw?
Mm-hmm. Okay. And when Manny found out na yan ang nasabi ni Isko Moreno, ano yung sinabi niya?
Well, he found out only after reviewing the videotape that was what Mayor Moreno was asking for.
And what were his exact words? What were Senator Manny Pacquiao's exact words when he found out that was what was said?
Well, we've always had friendly. We were always in friendly terms with the VP, and I think you could witness from the body language in the previous presidential debate that it was the two communicating with each other, while the others were another group. Mm-hmm. So I myself, I came from, remember I supported Pinoy Aquino in 2010 elections. So we were all together during the Aquino administration, and most of those who followed Lenny are also my friends.
Mm-hmm. Even some in the Isko Moreno campaign.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Barry, can you respond to that that sentiment? No, na this is something that, well, like Gilbert was explaining earlier, it was off script. It wasn't meant to be said at all. Although ito yung na-highlight sa totoo lang. And for lack of a better word, nasapawan yung original message, right, Gilbert? Barry?
Well, if it wasn't supposed to be said, then it shouldn't have been said. And the point is, there has been ample time to walk it back. They have not taken the opportunity. In fact, my understanding is they've doubled down on this particular call. But unlike other candidates, a call for us to withdraw is something we will simply ignore, and we will proceed with our own campaign. We are adults after all. We know that in the course of election season, there will be different opinions. Some of them will be opinions you don't like. People will be saying many things to you, calling on you to do different things. And if you don't agree, then simply do what you've been doing. We don't feel the need to call a press conference to say that we are proceeding and we are turning down the call of Mayor Isko for VP Lenny to withdraw. I don't think that's necessary at this stage, particularly at this late stage of the campaign, with only 20 days to go before the election. I think our actions should speak for themselves. So if somebody says withdraw and you don't feel like doing so, then simply proceed with the campaign. That's what everybody is doing after all.
Barry, pero pag-usapan din natin ito, no, nabanggit na rin ni Gilbert, no, all these calls for Isko and the others to withdraw in Lenny's favor, whether or not it is an official statement from the campaign. Let's just call a spade, these so-called lone wolves, no, na out on their own, not necessarily authorized, so-called, by the campaign, but talking to the different campaigns na mag-withdraw na lang kayo in favor of Lenny, who is number 2, etc., whether or not there is imprimatur from the campaign. And of course, pwede niyong i-deny yan . But this is what, in a large part, led to all this, no? All this talk about withdrawing in her favor.
Well, let's be clear. there's only one person named who supposedly actually asked for a meeting with any of the 3 candidates who were present there on the Easter Sunday press conference. And we've already clarified that that person was not authorized to speak for the campaign. But even the statements from Gilbert earlier, he was pointing to hashtags and statements on social media, which happened in October after VP Lenny filed her candidacy. So again, are we to be held to account for what people, individual netizens on Twitter or Facebook will express as their sentiment? I mean, this is a campaign. So part and parcel of it will be people, voters, Filipinos expressing their opinions on what the candidate should do. And I think that we should all be adults here and deal with these things in a professional manner. No need to actually throw a tantrum. No need to actually make a big thing out of it. If it's something that you don't agree with, then simply proceed with what you're doing. But definitely, this is not a case of us trying to pretend that we're not talking to them when, in fact, the fact of the matter is there have been no conversations, at least actively pursued by the campaign since October of last year.
But part and parcel of the Lenny campaign is a very strong social media presence also. Don't deny that, Barry. Ikaw talaga. More, sandali lang. We have to take a break. Sandali lang. More from our guests when we return. This is Politics as Usual.
RPN Regional AM radio stations nationwide welcomes CNN Philippines, a first on radio. To bring you the latest news you can use, news you can trust. Listen to Newsnight, weekdays 6 p.m.